Right, good morning, everyone. So, last couple of days, we've been seeing a lot of action at Google Next. I'm sure all of you have been enjoying it. Today, in this panel, we're joined by a couple of gentlemen here. They will introduce themselves in a short while. But essentially, I was just reflecting upon what we've been hearing in the last couple of days. The whole concept of agentic enterprise is no longer an aspiration. We're seeing it in production. We're seeing it delivering value, and we saw so many cases in the keynote yesterday. We saw so many examples of customers realizing that value. That value realization starts with looking at your technology footprint. And cloud journeys have been instrumental in achieving that to a large extent. With the modern enterprises adopting cloud at scale and really maximizing the opportunity that the data, the systems are offering them in the new AI world is something that we are seeing customers really getting a lot of value out of. So just quick introductions. So my name is Sandeep Singh. I lead our cloud in North America for TCS. And I'm joined here by Kevin. Kevin, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name's Kevin Scott. I have been with Randstad for about 27 years. I was in the US market for many years until we formed Global IT back in 2016. And I am the head of cloud and infrastructure.
John?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, hey, everybody. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me. My name is John Patel, and I lead the partner migrations practice at Google Cloud. Very excited about this time and very excited about the opportunity that's in front of us as well. And as I was telling Sandeep and Kevin, I'm based in lovely New York City. So in the event anybody here wants a $15 cup of coffee, please come. More than happy to buy you one, not two. I don't make enough money for two, but one. Happy to do so.
Thank you, thank you. So let me start with you, Kevin. I know Randstad has been on a cloud journey for quite some time.
We have.
And you've been part of this journey right from start. Tell us more about what got Randstad started on cloud journey and what were the kind of business outcomes you were really targeting and where are you right now in that journey?
So we've got to go back probably 10 years. Senior IT leadership at the time took a look at our entire global IT landscape and where we were spending money. And what they found was 50% of our total IT spend was spent on infrastructure. And we were very market for market driven with the way we were doing IT at the time. And what we found was that there were a lot of what I'll call redundancies all over the place. And so we started a global project that was essentially we're going to pick everything up out of the data centers and move it all into the cloud. And so everybody got on board, and it was quite the multi-year journey even to get things there. And to be honest, we're not 100% there even today, but we're pretty close to it. And looking back at COVID and some of the things that we're doing today, we're glad we did it when we did because it's really enabled a lot of what we've done over the last few years, and especially I think some of what we're going to talk about here today and where we're focused today.
Yeah, thank you. And I know you're already starting to use a lot of AI in your in the business. How is that? How is the cloud really helping that adoption?
I think being in the cloud, it makes it so much easier. It's all the data is there, all of the related systems are already there. What we're finding interesting about the adoption of AI is what I would historically have called a customer to the cloud platform teams. That's changing. So what I would have called a legacy application owner, if you will, or a developer that comes to us and says, hey, we need an environment to do whatever. We're hearing from non-IT people that, hey, I'm on the marketing team and I heard there's this thing and I need to spin up this environment. Well, there's a gap there between we want to do this thing and then spinning that up. There's an enablement piece that's in the middle, and we're discovering that that's an area where we really need to focus, because that otherwise that customer experience, I think, could potentially be a bit lacking. But so far, it's there's a lot of energy around AI within the company.
I'm sure, yeah, interesting times. So John, why don't you talk about, from your vantage point at Google, what are you seeing in other industries specifically, and just from adoption perspective, what are some of the new things that you've noticed?
I think that not too dissimilar from what Kevin talked about. Customers that are able to think creatively and think about where they want to be from a future state in their cloud adoption journey really separate themselves from the pack. And that's what we've seen with customers like Randstad, is that it's not enough to be okay with where you're at today. It's a constant innovation for where you want to be tomorrow. And I think that how Google thinks about it and how we try to help it is that we're really proud of the services that we have to offer, because we really feel like each service is purpose-built to help customers wherever they're at in their journey. You can be a seasoned pro like Kevin, or you can just start your cloud migration journey and just start tipping the toes a little bit, like, hey, I think I want to do this as well. Wherever you're at, we feel like Google has something for you wherever you're at in your journey. So I think that that is a big piece that we're really excited to see customers getting excited about and adopting. Obviously, you all talked about Gemini, and we're really excited about the new announcements that we made yesterday and how that's really going to just not only accelerate the adoption, but as Kevin mentioned, a lot of folks are asking about it. You're saying marketing people are asking about it, HR people are asking about it, and so we're really excited about the demand and the excitement around that as well. So I think that that's where I see us going and what Google has to offer. And look, I'll be very honest. Having really smart people like Kevin driving the ship for customers is also another great part that really helps customers adopt more quickly and succeed rapidly as well.
Awesome, yeah. Meeting the customers where they are, I think that's the key. And I can tell from my experience, from TCS experience, some of those solutions that Google offers are really helpful in that. And so thank you, John. Any transformation in any big enterprise, it's never always smooth sailing. There is rough weather, we hit, and so we pivot, we change direction, or we make decisions around how do we mitigate that. So talking about your journey, Kevin, what were some of the challenges that you ran into, or some roadblocks you want to talk about? I mean, this is just to also learn from that, because a lot of our audience would really love to understand and maybe adapt that, how they mitigate it.
I think making sure the organization is fully bought in to your cloud journey is definitely key. The other thing, we started with this idea that we were going to kind of transform into the cloud. And over time, because of time pressure, that really turned into a global lift and shift. And when I think back on that, I kind of think about, when you're moving homes, you have to make the decision, am I going to clean up my stuff before I move, or am I going to clean up my stuff after I move? I'd be interested to see how many people raise their hands if I said, hey, after you moved, did you really clean up your stuff? And I don't think it happens a lot. And so there's part of that a little bit around the approach that you're going to take to your cloud migration. Hey, we're going to lift and shift, and then we're going to transform, then we're going to modernize. I think the longer you're there, the tougher the return on investment becomes. And then you just kind of end up with stuff that will eventually die on the vine, so to speak. The other thing I think is that it's really hard to even, in our experience at least, it was hard to get even very technical people to understand that you're not building for a data center. So you don't have to have the worst case scenario compute on day one. You don't have to allocate storage that you're going to need 18 months from now. And I used to have team members that would come to me back in the day and they'd be like, hey, so we've got the budget and we need to buy storage. And it's kind of the old joke about if you're going to go to dad or mom and ask for money, do it once, right? So we'd get all of this storage and then it just kind of sits idle. Well, if you've got machines in the cloud and you've got all this allocated and unused storage, it's easy to grow a disk in the cloud. It is not easy to shrink a disk. So that's just one example of how do you make sure people are thinking about the agility and the flexibility and your non-production workloads. Are they running overnight? Are they running on the weekends? Do they have to be? If sometimes people don't think about that because, well, in my legacy data center, I didn't really have to care so much. And when you're really trying to save money and run the numbers and be, agile, those are the kinds of things that you have to think about. And if you don't, you're missing out on, I think, a lot of opportunity for what the cloud brings.
I love your examples and analogies, by the way.
Thanks.
You're absolutely right. And I tell my customers all the time, while obviously you're doing cloud migration and this whole big program to achieve bigger outcomes, but the side effects of it is you end up being in a much more efficient, cleaner, effective way of managing your enterprise. So thank you for that.
Sure.
So moving to you, John, from your perspective, and I know if I ask you what kind of challenges you're seeing, you'll have a long list. How about you tell us about your top 3 that you're seeing in the industry?
Yeah, and by the way, Kevin, ask mom and dad for money once is great advice. Please give that to my daughter who just turned 2. And she's already learned how to ask mom and dad for money multiple times. So that's, I'm
here for you.
Thank you. I'm gonna help you, FaceTime her. I think that the biggest challenge I see, Sandeep, is attention to detail and really getting the migration journey correct at the outset. Now, I love the moving analogy because we use this all the time as well. Really thinking about when customers migrate to cloud, it isn't just, hey, let's move a box and put it into the next room. It's thinking about how do we creatively start to optimize and modernize and do all of the cool things that we've always wanted to do. And without the attention to detail, like you said, things start to die on the vine and things start to get ignored. And so as a result, I think that having the foresight and the guardrails to say, okay, I feel comfortable with where we're going. I feel comfortable with how we're going to do the migration. Let's get cool. Let's start to migrate. Let's start to figure out all the things that we want to do. So I would say that that's the number 1 challenge. The number 2 challenge along those lines is the playbook. I think that having a well-defined playbook really helps the customer journey and makes it just so much more easy to, again, innovate and think about where are additional places that you can modernize as well. And that's why at Google, I think that we're so excited about our partnership with TCS, because TCS, you guys just didn't write the playbook. You continue to iterate on that as well. I'm sure Kevin would agree. And so having that playbook, it's not a simple thing. It's not something that should be taken for granted, and which is why partners like TCS are just so massively important to what we do at Google, but also what we do for customers as well. The last challenge is, and it's a little bit more poetic, and allow me some license here, but usually when people come to these types of events, they see Google, they see a customer, and they see a partner, and they think, hey, they probably operated in silos and operated in fiefdoms. The challenge that I see is that when that is true, that usually doesn't bear a lot of great outcomes. And so what I love, and what I love about this partnership, and I think how TCS approaches every customer, is that it really is a better together story. And in this instance, Google learned just as much, if not more, from Randstad and from TCS, as I'm sure that they learned from us as well. And so it was really kind of a cohesive togetherness project that really helped kind of accelerate and adopt that as well. And it was funny because I was talking to Sandeep and Kevin right before this, and Sandeep said, we're friends. And that's no small thing to have like that level of trust and say, hey, we're friends now. And by the way, I'm always looking for more friends. I don't have a lot of friends, so if you guys want to be my friends, that'd be great. But so that's the third challenge, is that when customers and partners try to go about it in a silo or just kind of in a very segmented transactional approach, you typically don't get the outcomes that you're looking for. And sure, you'll get the migration, you'll get what you need, you'll check the box. But when you really start thinking about how do we build the cool things, I need to really stop using the word cool because kids are going to make fun of me.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. But I think that that's the other piece of it, is that how can we come together, really form like a really tight-knit friendship and partnership, and kind of iterate and experiment and do all the cool things together. So that would be the third thing that I see as a challenge, and quite frankly, how I think that Randstad and TCS have been able to solve for that and really kind of accelerate that growth as well.
Thank you. So if for the audience, this is the last question I'm asking, and after this, we'll open it up for any questions, so keep your questions ready. As we look forward from here onwards, and events like these are a great place for us to learn about what's new and what's upcoming. What is that one thing that you're most excited about as you look at going away from Google Next and maybe adopting some of these in your day-to-day work? So just talk to us about what is that one thing that you're most excited about?
I think the toughest way to answer that question, or the toughest part about answering that question, is narrowing it down to one thing. So I'm in technology for technology's sake. It's just the energy around it, what it brings to the business. But what I find so fascinating is that the speed of iteration just continues to increase. You hear what's being released this week and what's coming out next week, and across multiple different vendors, and it's almost like what was the brand new shiny thing 6 weeks ago almost starts to feel like old hat when you're in the world of AI. And so one of the things that we're doing and have to do is re-looking at some of the things we were doing, especially 10 years ago, but 5, 2, even last year. How are we going to challenge ourselves to make sure that we can keep up with the agility that's required by not only the business, but by our external customers, so our talent and our clients, and what does that look like for them? And from a platform team perspective, it is enablement, and balancing that enablement with establishing reasonable guardrails. That's challenging, but it's a lot of fun, because you can see a lot of the development teams that are leaning into this, a lot of the business people leaning into what's new. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen this too. You've got non-technical people leaning into technology because, well, they hear about it, but then they start to play with it, and you have non-technical people, and they're like, I spent the weekend and I developed this app that does this thing. And when that starts to get, when it becomes that common, it's easy to feed off of that excitement, and knowing you don't want to be the person who is managing the team that's the barrier, right? So the excitement is around making sure that we're well positioned to enable the business, I think.
Yeah, awesome. John, how about you?
This is easy for me because I think that yesterday was really the announcement that a lot of folks were super excited about, and all of the different announcements and all of the different features that Google is releasing. So like Kevin, narrowing it down to one is really difficult. And just really as an aside, I am one of those non-technical people that you talk about, and I did develop an app that said how many gummy bears can I realistically eat in a given day. And let me tell you, the number's a lot lower than you really think it is as well. And so thank you for putting shame on my gummy bear habits. But I think that there's two things that I'm really excited about after Next, and really kind of motivates a lot of what we do. Number one is the work that we're doing around migrate, modernize, and build. The thing about change, and the change that you talk about, Kevin, is that at Google, we never like to leave anything behind. And so migrate, modernize, and build is a key pillar for what we want to do to make the migration journey just a little bit easier for customers overall. So I'm really excited about how, and I love cliches. I know a lot of people are like, don't use cliches. I love cliches. I love the cliche that a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's how we view Gemini and Gemini Enterprise as well, is that it's one of those things that as they iterate and as they innovate and able to get feedback from customers like Randstad and partners like TCS, it allows the other services like the migrate, modernize, build, and infrastructure teams that I represent, the opportunity to also take advantage of a lot of those innovations and experiment and figure out how we can offer cool things for our customers as well. The second part, and it's not so much a service or a feature, it's the continued development of partners like TCS that we have and that we're really, really proud of at Google. And so I think that what Next has shown me is that it's only going to get better from here from a partnership angle, and the things that we can do with TCS and how we innovate together and how we innovate with customers like Randstad as well. And so for me, I think that the takeaway of we have such a great partner ecosystem led by partners like TCS. I'm really excited to get back to New York, and Sandeep and I are going to get together and have some food. But I think that getting back, innovating with our partners, creating with our partners, and really figuring out how do we help customers like Randstad develop the playbook a lot easier and attention to detail and everything else. So that's probably the other thing that I'm most excited about. And look, it's not a service feature. You're not going to hear about it on the news or the news wire, but it's the one thing that I hear a lot of folks at Google and a lot of our customers talk about as well, is that the partner representation has just been absolutely phenomenal. How they show up, how they're so leaned in to Google Cloud, and sessions like this are so important to what we do, and quite frankly, it is one of the most important things that we do. And so being able to get back and innovate with partners and have 2 new friends as a result is another thing that I'm really excited about as well. So yeah, those are the 2.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, in fact, teeing off that, my, the thing that I'm most excited almost all the time when I attend Google Next is, we always have these thoughts and these ideas in our minds that, hey, we're going to do this next. This is the next thing that we should focus on. This is my strategy for this year. And we come and meet with customers. We meet with our partners. And it kind of solidifies this for us and makes it real for us. So that's the thing that I carry away all the time, and I'm very excited about. OK, we can open for questions. If there are any, please do raise your hand. And I think we do have mics, or we don't. Yeah. Oh, by the way, there's a question you have to answer too. Do you guys know what Randstad means? If you know, please do share with us. Go ahead.
Hi. I'll probably start with the question.
Fair enough.
Actually, so this is great. Actually, this is very, very insightful in terms of how you're approaching it. What I wanted to understand is when you speak about what's next after completing this journey and looking at the continuous modernization and adoption to the newer technologies, because the modernization journey is not a one-time journey, as you rightly said. There will be a new definition of what's the next modernization on the cards, right? So just very curious, what are your thoughts on how Randstad is kind of thinking of continually improving and working towards this modernization over and over again, and what are those futuristic thoughts you might have?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it really comes from a leadership's perspective to answering that kind of question, because where I think some companies can really get stuck is, and I think I hinted at this earlier, that this isn't an infrastructure problem. It isn't even really an IT problem. It's a business opportunity. And so you're always going to kind of have your legacy baggage, the stuff that you didn't clean up, right? And so sometimes it makes sense to continue to iterate on those things, but then you can still draw a line in the sand and say, okay, now we're going to leave the world of virtual machines behind, or we're going to, or whatever that looks like for your organization, and we're going to go fully cloud native. Now, what that means may be very different depending upon the use cases and what your company is doing and what it's focused on. But I think it puts people in a mindset of, I like to use this analogy about the story about cutting off the ends of the ham, and the joke is really you do it just because you've always done it that way. And I think that happens a lot. People just get stuck in what they're doing because we've always done it that way. And if AI and if the cloud don't get people thinking about, I really need to take a step back and look at why we're doing things and how we should be doing them better and different, I don't know what does. Because again, the speed of change, it just increases. And it makes it fun, but it makes it hard. So hopefully that kind of helps answer your question. But some of it depends. But I think making sure that leadership is all on board with, well, constantly, everybody should be pushing themselves toward what are we doing today? What can we be doing better? What could be doing different? Everybody setting their egos aside and focusing on what's best for the company, then I think you're heading in the right direction.
And I'll just add to that I think that migration is never meant to be a singular event. It's never meant to be a, hey, you migrated, see you later. So the things that I know that TCS stand for and that Randstad is doing to differentiate themselves from their competitors. I mean, I think that we were talking about one of the largest, if not the largest, right, in the world. That type of competitive analysis or competitive differentiation doesn't happen overnight. And so I think their ability to have the foresight to say, okay, we've migrated today, but what else can we do tomorrow with partners like TCS at the helm to really start to offer additional services to their customers and to their internal stakeholders as well. And so I think that, from our perspective at Google, we're really excited to see, and we're going to continue to see, because Kevin is now my friend, where they're going to go tomorrow and the next year and so forth when it comes to the migration journey. And so we're really excited about how this is just step one, right? We're going to go to step 2 and step 3. And Kevin talked about it so eloquently. What was cutting edge and cool six weeks ago isn't going to be so cutting edge in 6 weeks' time. And I think that Google has done a good job of maintaining that pace and position of innovation, and working with customers like Randstad and TCS is only going to help make that easier.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You have to answer the Randstad question, though.
Do I have, what's the answer for the Randstad question?
It's the part of geographical region in the Netherlands.
Okay, that's it. So it's a part of geographical region in the Netherlands.
You Gemini.
So my question is, have you used any AI tools to accelerate the migration?
So when we did the bulk of our migrations, none of these tools existed. I will tell you, we are taking advantage of a lot of the AI tooling around focusing on the FinOps perspective of cloud operations and really helping dig into data that we couldn't otherwise. If we were to do it over again, and if we were to start today, I would find it really hard. I can't think of a use case where I wouldn't want to include AI. It seems like it's such an enabler in so many different ways. I admit I haven't dug into the current tooling, but I'm certain it would be a lot faster and easier than what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I'll say there was a really good breakout session yesterday, and I know, shout out to Sunny Dua and his team that leads our GCVE, our Google Cloud VMware Engine team. as well. And they work with tons of customers like Randstad in helping them migrate a little bit easier and a little bit faster. And one of the pieces that Gemini has been influential and absolutely critical in that migration journey and just making it a little bit more transparent and palatable for customers is on the application modernization piece. And so one of the things that Kevin and Sandeep were talking about is that as you start to move, what you want to do is understand what applications are you using today and what does that look like in Google tomorrow. And Gemini has the ability and the opportunity to help provide some of that visibility today when you're migrating your workloads into Google Cloud VMware Engine, and so GCVE for short. And so as a result of that, we've seen, and we have a demo available, and I'm happy to share that with you as well, where customers are now able to take a full landscape view of what they're going to move and how that's going to look in the future environment as well. And so, and Kevin's absolutely right. You know, there are different ways to move and migrate, and you know, some of those are reliant on the expertise of partners like TCS and their tremendous skill set when it comes to Gemini, but it's also starting to figure out what's available tomorrow and how you can leverage those tools to make migration just a little bit easier. And that's just one use case that we've seen in real time where customers have been able to say, okay, this is cool. Like I can use this as a tool to supplement and to really help the migration journey. It's not meant to be a replacement. It's not meant to be something that replaces the human power of people like TCS to do it, but it is a tool to help partners like TCS make it just a little bit easier as well. And so if you come up and sync with me after this, I'm happy to give you that demo and provide you that overview as well. But it's really a great opportunity to see how customers are using it today and kind of what value they're realizing as well.
Yeah, and if I can just add there, in the last 12 months, I mean, we've been infusing a lot of AI into our migration, solutions. Mm-hmm. What we are seeing is almost, in many cases, it's reduced the timeline of migration significantly, like 50%, 75% reduction. But more importantly, it makes the whole migration plan more reliable. Just because of all the scenario playing that you can do with AI in a more real-time basis, and then it helps you, achieve your end date much faster. So that's something which is really, really becoming useful for us, and absolutely would love to talk to you maybe after the session on how we can enable that. Yeah. You had a question.
Thanks.
And Randstad answered it right. I think Rand is edge, Stad is some cities in that Amsterdam suburb.
Okay, thank you. Question to Kevin and John. We know that the migrations are done. Now you are in a multi-cloud environments, and there are so many different models that every day getting announced. How much autonomy do you want to give to the agents for the agentic ops in the futures, in the daily run, or for future migrations or future transformations?
That's a tricky question. I think as much as pragmatically makes sense, however, there's a real balance that has to happen there, right? Especially from when you talk about autonomy, you can't help but bring security to mind and potential risk and all of those things, right? So what's I think is fun about this question is that there's a lot of competing interests in that, and so you're going to have the developers and people leaning into the technology, and you're going to have people pulling back, and so trying to find that balance, I think, is kind of where some of the magic lies. But I think I'm a technology first guy, so I like to lean into the new stuff. But however, you've got to make sure that the right people are in the room saying, hold on there, and those types of things, because we all read about it every day, right?
Given it was more from, because Randstad operates in so many markets, and you have business which is also trying to use AI. So how do you see that collaborating? Because they may push more, versus we may have to protect them while they're using AI in their own application sets and things like that.
Yeah, so I think we don't see a lot of difference between the markets. But and if I caught your question correctly, we do keep. There's a constant push from the business in trying to drive the. At the end of the day, it's about are we serving our clients? Are we filling their jobs? Are we finding our talent, the jobs that they're looking for? And I'm happy to say that to the tune of nearly 1 million jobs a year, we do that. But yeah, and sorry, I don't have a really specific answer for you other than that I think the magic's in the balance and leaning into it, but just making sure that you're being conscientious and cautious.
And one of the elements there, and I'm sure we'll maybe take it offline as well, is around the regulatory element of it, right? Because countries and regions have adopted different levels of AI, regulations, and so that becomes a critical part, especially for a company which deals in humans getting jobs, and so you have to be very, very cognizant of that. So, anything you want to add?
I mean, I would say that I think that anytime you talk about adopting new technology, whether it's cloud or AI or anything else kind of in between, I always say, and this goes back to something we said earlier, it's really important to have good guides and good stewards of that technology that understands the implementation playbook really well. And so my answer to where are we going with autonomy and how much we want to deploy and how much we want to make autonomous is we really need to rely on experts and partners like TCS to be the, as Kevin put, the voice of reason in the room to say, hey folks, because they really are the experts on a lot of this. Hey folks, this is what good looks like and this is how we can safely iterate, taking into all of the security concerns that Kevin mentioned as well, but I can't overestimate how important having that partner or that type of fail-safe and cushion is going to be for those implementations, because it absolutely helps. Again, we go back to this idea of innovation. Not only helps innovate faster, but it also helps you protect your business to where you want to be tomorrow. And so when I say the playbook, and when I say that TCS has really perfected and iterated and continue to iterate that playbook, I don't say that lightly, because we understand the massive risk of customer adoption that goes awry if they don't have partners like TCS to really drive that. And so anytime you're adopting new technology, whether it's autonomous agents or anything that has to do with cloud migrations, it's really important to make sure that you're picking up the phone and saying, hey, Sandeep, and Sandeep's going to give you his phone number after this, but hey, Sandeep, we really want to understand what this looks like. Help us build with us, just like you built with Randstad, so that we can get kind of the most ROI out of this agent and safely deploy it and make some new friends as well.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, maybe I'll ask one last question and then we'll wrap up. So we talked about what we should be doing, what we have done, and what recommendations we have. What is that one thing that you would, if you were to give advice to someone who's maybe starting in that journey, right, that they should not be doing?
So before I answer the question, I'd like to make a comment. So I just want to say thank you to TCS. So we started this journey together, it's over 10 years ago now. And this is the longest running professional partnership I've had in my career. And we talked before we started, I have true friends that I have created, strong friendships with people that work from TCS that just happen to be in the Atlanta area.
You reading that, John?
Yeah, no, it's really true. Gummy bears for everybody, right? But yeah, I want to say thank you, because it's truly been a partnership, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. And sorry, ask your question again.
You don't have to answer anything.
Okay, good deal. That was good enough? Okay, thanks.
anything that you would say, don't do this?
Yeah, I
Avoid
mean,
doing that.
I would say, and you know, Kevin, I think you're being modest here. I absolutely agree. I think that TCS has played an outsized role in this, but I also think that the role that you and your team have played in the migration is no small feat. Customer expertise, lean in, and the ability to be flexible and agile, especially with the weight and gravity that Randstad has globally and the reputation that you all have, and y'all's ability to kind of lean in has been tremendously valuable for this relationship. So not only thank you to TCS, but also thank you to you. The number one advice that I would give is probably the same advice you heard when you're in second grade and you're trying to go and do something cool, is that don't feel like you have to do it alone. What I find is that folks that want to go about and do something solo and try to implement or adopt new technologies and try to do it themselves, yes, they can absolutely succeed. Yes, you can absolutely look at a user guide, figure it out, and do it yourself. But it's way more efficient and, quite frankly, a lot more fun if you have experts and just good partners like TCS, like Randstad, like Kevin, to sit down and really help you iterate as well. So the number one thing I would say is don't feel like you have to do it alone. Google is also here to support you every step of the way. It is in our DNA to make sure that you have successful outcomes, but do it in a way that is absolutely enjoyable for you and your team as well. And so we don't want to make this uncomfortable or feel like you have to be dragged along. We really want to be equal partners throughout the process, and which is why I think going about it alone is not only just a terrible business approach, but it's also just a terrible life approach as well. Like, always find friends, always find good partners, always find good people and good communities. And I think that Randstad and TCS are great examples of that as well.
Thank you, thank you. In fact, if I may just add on to that, TCS is also a very big customer of Google, and we've come to realization that the kind of flexibility, the kind of approachness that Google has, especially from products perspective, is amazing. And by us giving you and your product teams the right feedback and they improving the products, it helps everybody, right? So that's something which I would definitely encourage everybody to lean in on. That's really good. Okay, so Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandeep.
John, thank you so much. Definitely friends for life after this.
Yes.
Yes.
So just to summarize, if I may just summarize the whole conversation. Obviously, we talked about Randstad's cloud journey. We talked about the challenges, mitigation of them, and the learnings from that. How do we, apply that to our own ways of working? But any transformation with not having a clear outcome attached to it, or a clear business benefit attached to it, is not really a good way to look at it. So that's my takeaway. Number one is, when you look at transformation, it's not just a technology transformation, it's something that you want to do to achieve business outcomes. That's number one. Second is what I like to call as 3 Ps, right? So you need 3 Ps for this: product, platforms, and partners. And I think all 3 elements are important. You need to have the right product, to pick the right product, build platforms. Platforms will help you scale. And the third element is bring on a set of trusted partners who can drive this for you. And the third element, I think, is all about it's not destination, right? Cloud is not your destination. I know cliches, but yeah, cloud is not a destination. It's a journey. It's continuous innovation. You need to continue to leverage what's new, and Google Next is great event for us to see what's new happening right now, what other customers are doing. Continue to innovate in your own environment and in your, where you are. If you are migrating right now, try to use these new AI-led tools that we are bringing. If you're already on cloud, how do you bring AI to drive more efficiency, more innovation, modernization, and of course, FinOps is a key element of that you bring in. So that's my 3 takeaways. I hope all of you had a great time. Thank you very much, and thank you for our esteemed panelists.